term in-laws and outlaws, when you think about what the connotation of that means, I mean, I don't know if we the outlaws or they were the outlaws. I don't really know.
I ain't no fucking outlaw.
But
you about to marry into another family, you need to know the intricate details of that fucking family and how your family view. Because some families just see life differently. And when you merge that shit together, it's never going to be cohesive.
Family is earned. I'm saying, like, even people that got my bloodline, they're my relatives, but they're not my family.
The problem with most families and many families is that if you go against the grain, you think you're better than us. You think our way ain't right. Who y'all think y'all are? You changed because of this man or this woman.
Life happens to every motherfucking one of us. It's us who choose to think our shit is bigger than everybody else. That's a fucking choice. And you ain't getting no pass for that bullshit. And honestly, the fucking pain fuels how hard that emotional cutoff gonna be, because I'm so motherfucking hurt, motherfucker. I ain't ever letting you do that dumb ass shit again.
And then sometimes you be fooled, because sometimes I do emotional cutoffs and I be like, I don't think I really love this motherfucker in the first place.
I fucking can't.
Like, I thought I did. It wasn't that serious.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Date Night with Coach. You got the Greens and the Harveys here. We got a good one for you today. So I want to talk a little bit about, kind of how this work came about. It started off some time ago. In a life before my baby, I was married before, and when I was in my training and in my when I was in school to be a clinician and everything, I had taken a class. Couples and family therapy. And it was in that class that I realized that relationship wasn't supposed to be.
You ain't realize it in that class.
It was in that class that I learned some things that told me that
what you was already feeling was confirmed.
Okay, baby, I'm gonna give you that. And so kind of from that experience and, getting divorced and then, finding my beautiful wife here.
The love of your life.
Absolutely. And, some of the things that we kind of, encountered in our journey kind of got me to a place where the work, the work with families and with couples and with children and all of those, that interconnectedness kind of became a passion. And so kind of this is where we are. So when working with families, we kind of deal with it from the family systems theory, and there are a couple of assumptions in that theory that families are complex emotional units, right? That families are emotionally interconnected, and also that families, community, and socially, those relationships are reciprocal. And so from that the connotation is that again. We treat each other. You kind of mentioned it in the previous segment. You want what you give, right? So
that's right.
The relationships are reciprocal. And so there are a few other things I want to kind of dive into, but on that, I want to kind of introduce the topic for today.
And what that is, Coach.
So as we talk about family systems, as we talk about all of that, the topic for today is in-laws and outlaws.
Ooh.
The impact of family dynamics on relationships. So, I can say a lot, but I want to kind of open up the floor to give you guys an opportunity to just kind of talk a little bit about, first of all, your expectations of what that would look like when you got into a place where you were ready to be married.
You want to start off, Harvey?
It don't matter.
Go for it.
So you mean as in my expectations of what I was expecting as in within her family?
What that whole dynamic would look like.
Or blending of the families?
Right. Married into a family, what those relationships would kind of look like, how that thing would kind of grow.
Well, I think it's idealistic, like each individual always had this conception in their mind that the family's gonna come together, it's gonna be this holy matrimony thing, everybody gonna get along with everybody, and the realization is that majority of families don't even got it together within themselves to even be bringing, families together. So we put too much expectation on it from the jump, which you might be bringing past traumas from one family and other family that has traumas with them that y'all traumas don't even coincide for y'all to even blend together. You know what I'm saying? And then y'all try to make it work under the name of family or under this ideal that we have in our head of this is what it's supposed to be. And then my question is where the fuck did it start from? Like, where did this ideal come from? Like, who made us think that this gotta work like that? Because at really, like, reality of it, I don't gotta deal with none of this shit. You get what I'm saying? I mean, because your life get peaceful once you start cutting them numbers down. You know, some people die, some people, they die and they still breathing, but the numbers get smaller, the peaceful will become, you know what I mean?
Who the fuck? I love this.
So to be honest, I guess I kind of gotta agree with that in a sense that you just want everything to be peaches and cream. You want everybody to get along. You want everybody to respect each other. The reality of the situation is, it's people that are blood relatives that don't even like each other. So to bring another outside party into that, some personalities just don't get along. They're not going to gel. And to be honest, at the point that we at now, Murray, that's fine. As long as the respect is there.
Right. So what about and that's your mature. How many years y'all got in?
Woo, 16 married.
So
almost
that's your mature
19
perspective
together.
in terms of experience.
Correct.
But going in, how did you see it going in though? What was your expectation?
Going in, we just wanted everybody to get along.
Oh no, going in, she was forcing this shit going in.
Yes,
I wasn't pressed for none of that shit. Thanksgiving, I'll drop you off at your family. I'm gonna go do my thing. I'll pick you up at the end of the night. Like, I was cool. I never was like pressed for any of that shit.
Very much so, and that's why I told him none of his other relationships last, because that was your mindset. In my mind, either we're together or we're not.
We together don't mean just see that's the problem. Like in
Don't
the
mean
conversation
just fucking
said, we
family.
together mean right. I'm with them. Like, and I don't mean I gotta be with them if we together. One thing I realized in the life that I know now that early in my life is I used to subject myself to a lot of bullshit that I no longer will subject myself to. Like, if the feeling, if the energy not right, I'm not forcing shit. It just, that's how the game goes.
But I believe that's where we fuck up at the beginning, though.
That's because we trying to win each
Because I
other
do
over.
believe that there can be harmony.
Okay.
I believe, one, we be fucking with people out of our class. Families have classisms, too. We talk about friends being in the same class. You talk about a job being on your level. When you about to marry into another family, you need to know the intricate details of that fucking family and how your family view. Because some families just see life differently. And when you merge that shit together, it's never going to be cohesive.
Conflict.
It was never designed to be. So let's stop saying, okay, oh, that's just your family. No, your fucking family is how you develop your views and your ideologies and all that shit. It's some things that you see in families that you need to let that nigga or that bitch go to.
Toxic.
And move the fuck on.
Toxic. There we go.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, I agree with that, huh?
Very much so. Toxic.
And move the fuck on.
No, but I agree with you. Because even in class, it's like certain things, like, and that's not to judge who right or wrong.
Exactly.
But if you acquire just certain things and these people are not, it could be complete opposite. And if the
Exactly.
mesh not there and everybody's not open or receptive
got
to
different
even for change.
experiences.
But one thing about a marriage, you understand that the dynamics of the family has changed. You know what I mean? Even though you might got, and don't get me wrong, it's not forced for me. You get married, I was, in the beginning, I thought that automatic family shit, but that's not even my concept no more. Family is earned. I'm saying, like,
Very much so.
even people that got my bloodline, they're my relatives, but they're not my family.
I like that.
They don't know shit about
They're
me.
not
They
your
don't really know
chosen
nothing
family.
personally.
That's
So it's
right.
like,
Yeah.
my family grew. That's like seeds been planted, and my family is constantly growing right now. You know what I'm saying? It's a small circle, but my circle is blossoming. It's growing. So it is what it is. I mean, and those that's on the outside, hey, what can I say?
So what I'm hearing is you guys are capturing kind of the first 2 points, that whole, actually all three really, that complex emotional unit, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, part of where my mind goes to the idea that the emotional, the complexity of that quote unquote unit, it gets so rigid that sometimes people make it hard for someone else to penetrate and become a part of that unit.
Yes.
And in my mind, I look at that as more possessiveness as opposed to relation, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I agree. That's like I think that's human nature. That's like something that you walk into that got its own structure. You got somebody that's the controller. You got somebody that's the manipulator. You got somebody that's the villain. They all got their parts to play. And then when you step into a dynamic like that, and if you match any of the egos or any of the personalities, then you automatically going to bump heads because they think their position is. It's like, it's funny like that, And that's how I think that's just in the nature of people.
I think it's in the nature of people, but no matter what characteristic you bring to the table, all those characteristics you can still have unadulterated love, right?
Yeah.
You can be all of those things and have things and people that you love without a shadow of a doubt, and some of those characteristics can be put to the side for the one you love. So, but for me, I believe all those things are fucking excuses. They're excuses that we give them to see past your bullshit. No, because regardless of who the fuck you are, when you love me, you fucking love me. Good, bad, or indifferent. And when you love me, you love anybody that I say is worthy of my time. So now this motherfucker is worthy of your time, and we gonna let this shit roll. Because when you giving my partner a hard time, you have no love and respect for me. Period.
I mean, yeah, and I think families got to fuck up because I can't speak on all, but my experience is it's like family think that love is how much I will endure from you, rather than how much restraint you will have to even put me under endurance.
What I like to say about that is here's my little thing for that, right? When you deal with me in a certain way, when you hold me to a high esteem, your behavior isn't such, or your mindset isn't like, ask my guy. So if I mess him up, if I do something, then he gonna give me a pass because he's my guy, right? That's the selfish way of looking at it.
Correct.
But the way I should be looking at it is because he's my guy, I'm not gonna put him in a position where he has to give me a pass.
That's right.
I'm gonna look at him to that esteem, and I'm gonna carry it accordingly, right? Unfortunately, we find ourselves that selfishness tends to kind of take over, and people do what they're gonna do, and then they look for that grace on the back end, but then they constantly look for that grace on the back end, and they constantly look for that grace on the back end, and continue to put you in a position where now you have to make a decision. I love you, and so now you're then put in a position that because you love me, how you going to now hold me accountable for my actions? Because I love you, I also love me, and I gotta hold you accountable for your actions.
That's right. That's right. That is absolutely right.
And so with that, we're looking at the emotional interconnectedness. We're looking at the complexity of that unit. We're looking at that reciprocity and how we deal with each other. But there are two concepts that really stood out to me back in 2010 when I was sitting in that class. The enmeshed family. That is a family that has little to no boundaries. Little to no individualized identity. Everybody is in everybody's business. Nobody stands alone in their own world. It's not like, this is them, this is what they got going on, and then we come together. No. Everything that goes on is all interconnected. Everybody says we all the time, right? Because everything that we do, this is how our family gets down, and we're all in everybody and each other's stuff, and nobody has an individual identity. And unfortunately, in that system, another party coming in is a humongous threat to that enmeshed system.
Right. I mean, and 9 times out of 10, when you let another entity in it, your flaws get exposed.
There you go. It challenges the defects.
Right, because if you already got the majority that's just going with the flow, nothing's being challenged. Now you got somebody that got a different mindset come in and realize, like, hold on, y'all doing this way, but I don't really rock with that, and I don't think this is right, which challenges. But that breaks down what we said before. It's like people with the inability to evolve. It's like, thinking things supposed to stay the same and being in control of one another. And I think family, but I think when it comes to our people, the family structure goes back to slavery. So concepts and things that we still grasp to, I don't feel like we should actually have to grasp to it no longer because we're not under longer the same conditions per space to seek. Like certain things we used to do was based off of survival. We're no longer surviving in that way no longer. So certain concepts we need to switch up and evolve to flourish in the reality that we're into today.
But what you got to realize is some people's mindset is still in that survival mentality versus it being, I'm thriving.
No, I mean,
Well,
it's been
so
past
let's
that.
And
So
that
let's
breaks
say
it
our
down to
elderly.
what we talked
Yeah.
about a couple weeks
Class.
ago with self-actualization. How in the world can you bring anybody in when you are weak and damaged for somebody to expose your weakness when you are not healed and you
Right.
are not living in your truth? Because it's not saying that you reach self-actualization and you are perfect and you are not without flaws, but you accept your shit. You understand that I'm not perfect and that is okay. But when you are hiding from all of that,
Right.
Something, babe, you mentioned about, classism and how even in family structures and family systems, they're classes of people that connect, whatever. It made me think about just the idea of that hierarchy of authority, right, and control. It's almost like the business world where you have your executives, you have your laborers. And so within families, there are certain people that are placed on pedestals who, when they say something, this is what it is. And
Correct.
then you have your what you call them, your soldiers, like we in a gang or something. You got your soldiers who carrying out the deeds of the person that's calling the shots. And so unfortunately, that type of mindset, it carries on for generations and generations, right? There's some other concepts that I could share. Most of them, they're their own topic that we can kind of talk about.
And you know what's funny, Wayne, with that? Like, that's absolutely true. Because, like, let's say even in my family, or people thought there was a hierarchy. Let's just say that. With that being said, I'm more of a person that when I speak out, I mean what I say, but I don't have to do it often. So sometimes with me not speaking out or speaking up on certain instances, people believe that I fall in with the crew or with what these individuals are saying or that. And it's like, it's not that. I just really don't care enough about the situation to, comment. But that has kind of put me, or in the past has put me in a box to where I can be villainized just based off of what one person thinks, or because I really don't care. You know what I mean?
Perception.
Correct. So I wholeheartedly agree with you.
But then you think about how hard that, like, if you think about that, it's like you say, like, you got caught up in the situation because part of the family got an ideal over here, and because they got this ideal, so you saying they pull you automatically with it, based upon without you even saying anything about the situation.
Correct.
But the problem is that if that situation doesn't affect the family, then why is there even a situation? You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's so hard for couples to even stay together. You get what I'm saying? And then when you got that type of energy around the marriage, and now you got, like, you living up to see people's perceptions and perspectives, you're not even allowing your marriage to be honest and true because you try to make somebody think it's already something that it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got no control over what your marriage is and if you're being true to yourself. I have no control over what our marriage is going to look at to anybody because I honestly just let it be what it is. We're not outside straightening up for the public. Like, and Lord knows, right.
Lord knows
So
what, baby.
So that just made me think about something. Something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago also, but just the idea that, when you get into a relationship and then you kind of merge, so to speak, into a family, that the mindset and those hierarchy of needs and a person being self-actualized and various individuals within that family unit being self-actualized, it kind of dictates how families accept that quote unquote that in-law, right? That new person. And so also within families, as you said, you were looked upon as the one that speaks out, right? When you speak, you mean what you say. Families also, especially in those in an enmeshed system, we talked about kind of how you got those executives or whatever, but persons are placed in a space where there's certain expectations imposed on you.
Correct.
Right? And so, unfortunately, sometimes you fall into a place where you don't have the liberty to grow and change without disrupting the homeostasis of that enmeshed family unit.
Yeah.
And I ask again, where the fuck do these expectations come from?
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I mean people that their expectation for you, and you look at them and be like, well, how the fuck is your expectation for me higher
Right.
than your life? Like, how the
Right.
hell is like
Exactly.
you expected part of me, you expected out of yourself?
So there, I'm glad you said that. So there are 8 concepts in one of the theories that Bowen is the theorist or whatever. And one of them talks about family projection process in terms of how we, parents and whoever, we project our thought processes on our children, and it just kind of manifests itself, throughout generations, right? And there's another one that's called multi-generational transmission process. That's where, say we're the couple who teach our kids something a little different than what we're used to, right? And then they take what we got, and then they teach their kids something a little different. That says that over generations, families change. Because each generation is doing something a little different. They're doing their own thing. They're bringing their own lived experiences into the fold in terms of how they raise and rear their children. One of the things that we talked about with our kids is, about our kids in terms of raising them is, there are things that she brings from her experiences, there are things that I bring from my experiences. It's not a situation where we come in and say, you know what, hey, this is how I was raised. I think the way I was raised was great. Let's do it. Or the way I was raised was screwed, so let's do something totally different. No, let's find the good and the bad. Let's evaluate it, and let's figure out what's our way, right? And so our way for our children is going to be how we nurture and raise our kids, right? And we expect and empower and hope that they do the same thing with theirs. We don't expect their household to look the same as ours. It should look like how they and whoever they partner with come together and make that decision how that's going to look. The problem with an enmeshed family, the problem with most families and many families is that if you go against the grain, you think you're better than us. You think our way ain't right. Who y'all think y'all are? You change because of this man or this woman, right? But shouldn't that happen? Sometimes we think too highly of ourselves and we assume that, and it happens in relationships, person to person, and imagine how it's going to happen in large family structure where we get together. If I feel like I have a vision for my world and for my life, and this is the woman that I'm with, now she's supposed to just come and be a part of my vision for my life. That's not how it's supposed to work. And families take that to a whole nother level. That's the enmesh piece, but there's a whole nother caveat to that. Disengaged. The disengaged family is the family that their boundaries are rigid. Mind your business. This is what we do over here, y'all do what y'all do over there. Little to no, care and concern about what's going on in your world. Everybody kind of doing their own thing. And so as we grow and as we learn, our kids aren't really connected. In the generations, the family starts to kind of spread out. That's when people say, we don't see each other no more. Everybody doing this, doing that. I can recall a time in family and community where nobody had anything, right? And folks are coming together to do cookouts and get together. And as people start to kind of, and as some folks start to kind of grow and possibly migrate and move to different areas and start to experience different things in life, and they start to think differently, everybody doesn't manage or deal with that the same. Some people struggle with that.
But you know what I feel like sometimes it takes that odd couple to set that standard to open the mind of everybody in the family. So guess what? We don't want to do this. We want to do this. And now you have your lookers looking upon like, hey, maybe we should start running our stuff the way that we want to actually run our stuff versus how we were taught to do it or how we were taught to think in this box. The only thing that we ought to be doing is in this box. Sometimes it takes a couple to just step outside of that box to make it like it's okay for everybody else to do their own thing. And we come together when we come together.
Just simplify it. That's basically saying if I was used to shrimp, oodles, and noodles when I was fucking with y'all, and I went out in the world and now I'm getting shrimp and lobster, I don't gotta fucking eat shrimp, oodles, and noodles no more. I'm sorry. If you don't want to experience this, it's up to you. But I'm not going back to shrimp, oodles, and noodles. That's it. Who's that?
So we did a good job to this point, kind of keeping it clean and political. That ain't really what we're about these days, right?
Say it again.
So here's the thing. In our group, right, during our first segment of date night, our couples groups, we had an exercise where we did a genogram. And so what a genogram is, I know in the medical field, they use it to kind of track your family's history of medical stuff and all of that. in mental health and in family work, is used to kind of dissect those interconnected relationships among the family, right? And so we had our couples do it, and in our pilot with date night, Ebony and I were participants. Like, we did every activity we had all the couples do, we did it as well. And one of the things that came out, I think, from us and from the other couples is that in doing the genogram, there's some family members that you don't put on there, right? It was telling, and I, you know, in the process of doing the genogram, I didn't deal with it. I let people do it. But what I had to share is that when you're tracking family relationships, interconnectedness, and all of that, if you leave somebody off, that says that that's irrelevance there. So there's a place on the genogram for every person in your family history, right? And so for us, I think with ours, we just went back, like our parents, our like parents, siblings, and our grandparents. And then like we didn't go to like second cousins and stuff like that. We did our immediate families and things like that. But what we looked at with our couples was that the mindset to leave this person off my genogram says that I'm trying to erase this person from my memory for some reason, right? But there is a place on the genogram that shows my relationship with that person is cut off. Because our relationship is cut off does not mean that they're not there. It does not mean that being cut off isn't impactful to my life or to my world, right? And so we were able to kind of deal with that. And one thing that's telling from our genogram, and again, so let me just say this.
It's about to get real.
With Ebony's family, I have a great relationship with her family. And again, I think to a large degree, I mean, again, we've had and always people have their hiccups and things like that. But I believe that what you look for in getting married and saying, okay, like, you know, my sister, her sister is my sister. My brother-in-law is my brother, you know. And so those relationships come into play and you grow like that, right? And there's some people that aren't blood relatives that are now my sisters and my brothers. And so,
AKA, here we go.
And so those relationships are great. One of the challenges that I saw at the point in time when we did the genogram was that with my family, again, we ain't talking about extended, we're talking about immediacy. The only person that Ebony and I could draw our lines and say that we had a good, intact, viable relationship with was the kid that shares my name. Everybody else was cut off, estranged, friction, all those different terminologies. Nothing positive. The only person, when we looked at the genogram, and again, we shared it with our couples because, again, I think that in this work, we share information that is for the edification of whoever we're working with, right? And obviously in this form, this is for all of us. But looking at that from that perspective, like, yo, the only person that we have a good relationship with in my family is my son. That's not good. And so the term in-laws and outlaws, when you think about what the connotation of that means, I mean, I don't know if we the outlaws or they were the outlaws. I don't really know.
I ain't no fucking outlaw.
but my point being, there are a lot of nuances that come along with getting into a relationship, finding someone that you love, finding someone that you want to build a life with, right? Everybody, like you said, everybody is not going to see the way you're moving and how you're growing your relationship and your family the same, right? It doesn't matter because it's not their life to live, but at the end of the day, there are some things and some people that kind of have impact in your world, so to speak, right? So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. That genogram was something that was really, really, really telling for us to really look at those family dynamics and family relationships. And again, the couples that we did the genogram with as well, it was really, it was profound for us to look at and dissect it and have it a visual, right? Like a visual map. Lines going here, red lines, of course they wasn't good. Green lines, you know what I'm saying? So so looking at all that stuff, it makes you really think and then be like, wow. When you really look at this is it's a tough spot to be in when you really think about kind of growing and when we talked about that first question, the expectation, and I didn't share that, the expectation of what that baby, I don't think you shared it either, what that would look like when you get married, right? What that in-law how that thing will kind of mesh. For me, I'm a family guy, man. You know what I mean? Where my expectation and my thought process is, we come together. Again, is everything gonna be peaches and cream? No, but I'm a person that looks at and expects others to look at my flaws and accept them, and we move forward and we grow and we build with a unified purpose, right? And so again, I'm probably a person that at the onset is kind of hard to figure out what's up with this dude, right? But having a pure heart, being somebody who come into play, I think Ebony's family has had an opportunity and took the opportunity to know who I am and really see, who I am to her, who we are to each other, and what we are as a unit in terms of with our kids and the family as a whole. So for me, I think the struggle has always been, my thought process it has always been, it's easier for a man to integrate into a family than a woman.
I have to agree with that.
And, babe, I want you to share.
That's subjective. Because that's like you could be moving to a family full of females. That's different. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can't. I fucking get that.
It's different dynamics in families. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Like, a man get attacked in a family full of women. You want to get you better be next to Jesus. Better have some sandals on your feet when you walk the goddamn door.
But I want you to share.
But the reality, though, no family is all women. Whether we want to take them off of that genogram and act like the men don't exist.
Women family out here.
No,
they
it's
ran
not.
all the
Because
niggas away.
no woman can have. No, they can be gone.
Pop got ran out.
But they exist.
They might the only niggas in their family is like the little nephews and the cousins they try to run the niggas off with.
That's the point I'm trying to make. They may not be present, but they're there. They exist. There was something because you can't, because a family full of women can't fucking reproduce.
But remember what he just said, the hierarchy. So all the men in that all women family is the soldiers. That's per se. You know what I'm saying? It's the soldiers.
So and that's a good point though. So Ebony had told me about a year, so I don't know how long ago it was, but about your nail tech, right, and kind of how they dealt with family. I want to tell us that story, babe. Tell them about that.
Well, it was an Asian lady, and she said they can't bring anybody in. The family don't meet anybody unless they're ready to get married. So anybody you dating, you talking to, you don't come meet the family because they don't want to get connected to anybody that you're not intending to spend your life with. I think it's fucking genius.
I think it makes sense.
It makes perfect fucking sense. It's just that us dumbasses are not disciplined enough to even have any structure like that and stand on any fucking thing.
Yeah,
well, wait a minute. My daughter just recently told me that. I'm like, well, you have no friends and stuff like that. She was like, if it's not serious, you're not about to meet them. I said, oh, I gotta respect that. Because, in my mind, we want everybody around.
So
this my little
So
friend.
you saying she dating multiple dudes?
I can't. I fucking can't.
Let it go, Father. Let it go. She just said if it wasn't serious,
what's the point?
But
see, no.
But that's the
their
same
thing
concept
was, but their thing was not that it's just not serious. If you're not at the level that because serious relationships break up too.
That's true.
So if you're not at the level of marriage and you've committed to now that you locked in wholeheartedly, they don't want any relationship with that person because it builds.
But you said that was in the Asian community, right?
Yeah.
See, the problem in our community is they making babies too goddamn quick, so that gets too many serious.
Well, not just making babies, you making fucking webs of bullshit.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but once the babies get involved, then the family so-called gotta mesh in order to have a relationship with the child.
Because you can have babies. Motherfuckers mesh with people without babies.
I mean, that's true.
Motherfuckers
So
You gotta have no fucking relationship because somebody got a damn baby. That's just an excuse.
well, so what I took from that when she shared that with me, you know, I looked at it from a personal lens, man. Like, you know, part of the reason why, you know, the challenges that we've had with my wife and my family is because my exes are ingrained with my family.
But I ain't gonna let your family off the hook with that one. Because even families that have tangles to exes and all that, some of the bullshit that happened is because of themselves. Because you can only do what you want to do. Nobody is holding and putting a fucking gun to their head telling these motherfuckers to move this way. No. That shit's a scapegoat and is a fucking excuse.
Well, I think it's still...
Period.
I mean, the fuck.
It still boils down to, it's my job to set boundaries when it comes to my woman and my family in particular. Like, because some women...
Fuck yeah.
Some families, to a point, it's like, they don't even realize that it's like not showing love and respect towards the individual when you overstep them boundaries towards their partner. It's like now you disrespecting me now. Like certain things, it's like I'm supposed to be the border between that. You know what I mean?
That's all it is.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can have relationships with whoever the fuck you want. No different than we got other relationships outside each other. This is my fucking sister. Anybody that know me and know what I'm about, you don't even get an opportunity to be disrespectful or talk sideways, and you already know that don't go.
Period.
So when you set that precedent, you can so I can talk to somebody that don't fuck with her, right? But you better not ever come out your mouth fucking sideways.
Correct.
And so
Because that's a level of adulthood.
See, I mean, at my level of maturity is, if you ain't slandering somebody I know, if you telling the truth, it's your truth. Like if it's the truth,
here's the thing,
don't lie on them.
And so that's another one of those 8 concepts. That's the triangle relationship, right? So you have some relationships within families and in other situations where there are 3 people, right? One of the examples in the reading was you know, husband and wife, then they had a baby. That baby become a third part of that relationship, and so of course the wife has to kind of deal with the nurturing of the baby and then the emotional things that go along with that. And as the baby grows, there's some disciplinary things that got to take place. And then dad steps in, and then mom has a, you know, different kind of, you know, feelings or whatever the case may be. But in some cases, triangle relationships are detrimental when that's how that N word that I talked about before, that narcissists can manipulate people. Right? Mm-hmm. So any relationship that there are 3 parties and there's one party that has communication with both and the other parties may not have communication, that opens the door for manipulation and drama and BS, right?
It does.
And so again, I'm a person that work, family, whatever, I make phone calls, I set meetings, and I'm like, yo, let's talk. Because I don't want you say this to me, then they say that to that. No, we gonna deal with it right here, right now, all one shot, and so everybody can keep it 100. There ain't nobody there, you know.
I'm gonna say, but sometimes it get weird.
So you know what's funny? To be honest, in my younger years, I couldn't understand it because the man he's brutally honest, honest to the point where the honesty could have us beefing. Like, well, what you mean? He's like, well, what you mean? I mean, the truth is the truth. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, an aspect of that, like, I get it because in some relationships, he was that person. But in relationships where I was that person, certain things I might have filtered where he didn't necessarily have the filter. And he didn't have the filter, but sometimes he didn't realize with me is I'm not the forgiver, if that makes sense. So even though I filter certain things with him, he can let it go.
So when he give it to you,
know what
raw,
I mean?
you like, hold up.
Yeah, like let me look. I'm looking at the person. They're like, oh, this bitch said this or that. Thing. Oh, okay. Like I know where I'm at now. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was harder for me to let go maybe initially, but in time, you know.
On retrospect to what you were saying, I think it can get weird because sometimes, you know, you don't have an incident to pull a family member up. Somebody just don't like you because whatever the situation is, that they ain't gonna man up to tell you if it's not an incident that actually occurred.
That's true.
Sometimes people make stuff up, though.
Right. So I'm saying,
But
so
here's
you
the
got
thing. If something didn't occur, how the fuck can you say you don't like a person?
right.
People
So
say
this
it
why
all
I say
the
this
time.
the weirdest. But
so
it
it's
gets
not
even
weird. It's fucking shady.
Oh no,
It's
no.
fucking
It gets
bullshit.
weird. I mean, because then you got to think like this. You could take to another level. So you can have somebody that you've never had an incident with, could be on the phone with this family member talking about you, could cut off the phone with this one, call the next family member talk about you. All these people they talk about you, and not one single incident happened between you two. It's like certain things. It's like to the point where it's like you gotta so persevere for yourself and say, no, this shit is insanity. I'm not gonna even. What's that to even discuss? Other than maybe some traumas or something that you have inside you that maybe I could have triggered or something that, but you know, obviously. If we haven't had a conversation about it, then it's nothing personal with me. You see what I'm saying? So obviously, but you know, when some people, I don't think it's a lot of people, your relationship gotta be real tight for somebody to actually come up and tell you exactly. Like it's husbands and wives that don't actually express exactly how they feel with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Well, sometimes relationships can be tight and just people want to manipulate.
There you go.
They just want it to be
It's
their
perceivably
way.
tight.
Or they just want it to be, oh, well, I don't like the fact that it looks like they're that close and they're that tight in their marriage. Let me see what I can do to interject because I don't have that going on. I want to be the head person in their eyes, not their wife or their husband. Sometimes it boils down to simply being envious. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just is what it is.
But I mean, you still got to take accountability because that family member that got envious, you should never put their ass up there in the fucking first place.
I don't think you gotta be up on a fucking pedestal to feel disrespected and hurt behind.
I don't think
because it's some motherfucking relationships that you just expect. No matter what's going on in your life, you just gonna be there.
Yeah, I mean, but that's still subjective to your opinion of what you expect somebody to be.
I ain't gonna say that's subjective. We all think our mothers are gonna be there. You can put that shit on everything every motherfucking body loves.
All right, but
not everybody.
All right, but
let's be clear.
Let's just.
I'm gonna say every motherfucking body.
No, I'm gonna be clear.
But I'm gonna
not
say
everybody.
I'm gonna say everybody. I'm not gonna say that life ain't bring you to a place where you're okay if it's not there, but that is innately in all of us. When we are born, we are looking to our fucking mothers. Yes, we are looking for that nurture. We are looking for that acceptance. That is our first shit in life.
I give you that.
And I'm gonna say that before father because that is we come out. We are connected.
But I'll say that. I'll say that. To say
you're right.
Yeah, but
you're right.
But I'll say that to say
Fuck that.
I'll say that to say this though. Where the fuck did it come from?
You going back?
Right. But
I can't.
No, I'm saying because I'm just a realist. Like in life, I can expect you to be there, but your life is life and also. And it's selfish of me to think that because my life is like a magnitude of what I think I'm going through, and it could be something that really could be going through at my life right now, but to you that might not mean shit. That's like if you was an avid bike rider and you went my belt right and I fell off my first bike. Oh yeah, you done fell off 100 times, but I'm acting like this is the worst thing in life. You don't want to hear this shit. But sometimes you gotta be there. Somebody don't have that time and energy to be. You know what I mean?
From a person who life be fucking lifing hard as a motherfucker. I don't give a fuck how hard life is lifing when you say you fucking love somebody. Because when life is lifing and you love somebody, you got that compassion and you got that fucking understanding that even when your life is lifing, you can put that shit to the side. That's called fucking love and care. Life happens to every motherfucking one of us. It's us who choose to think our shit is bigger than everybody else's. That's a fucking choice, and you ain't getting no pass for that bullshit.
So sis, I agree with you with that until a person no longer deserves that.
Oh no! When you don't deserve it, it's all done.
I would say that in the case, then to me that sounds like that's a characteristic. Everybody not capable of reciprocating that.
Well, no, I'm not saying we all gonna put it together the same. We're not even all gonna display it the same. But there's a difference between, oh, hey, I'm in a bad way and I'm just not connected to you and I may not know what you're going through and I can't express that and be there for you, right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between I find ways to talk shit about you, to bring you down, to fucking destroy your character, to destroy your marriage, to destroy your family, and fucking try to destroy every fucking thing that you touch. That is a fucking difference. That is not you lifing.
No,
that's you being a bitch.
That's
the fuck?
yeah,
Or bitter.
That sound like
or
obsession.
miserable.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know what
A bitter, miserable bitch. What
There
the
we go.
fuck?
Sound like obsession.
And so one of the other 8 concepts is emotional cutoff. That's the place when the person don't come around no more.
Oh, I'm good at that shit.
That's the place where the person may come around, but there's no emotionally charged conversation. There's nothing that deals with real life. It's surface. You can come around and hang out and be like, yeah, whatever. But the real intricate details of my world and of my life, you don't get that. Because there's something that took place that caused me to be emotionally cut off.
I mean, you can't be the sucker though. Somebody could cross you and know what I'm saying, and you'll think like because you cordial with them, they'll get upset with you because they think you're supposed to open up to them at the same pace that y'all was at when they did the fuck shit that they did. And because you're not giving that to them and they understand it because you got to think energetically, they know how it felt when you opened up to them. So like you said, that closed out, they know when it's closed out because they know they're not in no more. So now it turns to anger and resentment because now you won't let them back in based upon their shit though. You know what I'm saying? So me, that's why I'm saying it comes to cutting it all the way off. Like, I'm just not going to be around you. You live your life, I live my life. It just is what it is. Especially if it's not my goddamn family. Like, just like, it's too
Well,
much.
what you mean? You do it to your own family.
I mean, it is what it is.
What are we talking about here? Let's be real.
I mean, they don't even got family.
You know what?
too.
But
It's
that
an
emotional
individual.
cutoff is kind of the same concept of taking people out of your genogram that technically sit in the positions where you want to remove them.
correct.
Because when you emotionally cut somebody off, yeah, you're protecting yourself, but protecting yourself does not make you absent from all the pain and the hurt that it comes from. Because in order to have to emotionally cut yourself off from a person, it means that they sat in the seat of love and respect in the first fucking place.
Yes.
So that
absolutely.
shit, I gotta protect myself, but deep down inside, like, damn, you really fucked me up, and that shit hurt.
And let's keep it 100. 9 times out of 10, the person that inflicted it, they don't ever understand what the fuck they doing until it happens to them.
Well, they probably don't understand it then either, but so the fuck what? But that doesn't stop you from hurting right the fuck
No, I mean,
now.
that's why your number one priority should be protecting yourself.
Well,
you know
no,
what I mean?
I'm saying in protecting yourself. I'm not saying letting them back in while you hurting because you're vulnerable. I'm saying no. In your fucking emotional shut off, you're hurting like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, because you healed.
And honestly, the fucking pain fuels how hard that emotional cutoff gonna be because I'm so motherfucking hurt, motherfucker. I ain't ever letting you do that dumb ass shit again.
And then sometimes you be fooled because sometimes I do emotional cutoffs and I be like, I don't think I really love this motherfucker in the first place.
I fucking can't.
This shit. Like I thought I did. This wasn't that serious.
I can't.
Maybe you thought you loved them more than you thought, huh?
I don't know. You get to see the truth either way.
Y'all crazy, man.
That should be pain though.
So another point that I think is a big one, and I think for me and probably for a lot of others, it contributed to some of the challenges with family. And again, we're talking about in-laws and outlaws. A lot of what we're talking about is family, dealing with your immediate family and things like that. But imagine the dialogue that we're having about, you know, our connectedness and our dealing with our family. Imagine how that impacts our spouses, how that impacts the process of trying to integrate, right?
Yes.
So another piece of that family dynamic is differentiation of self. And so it's twofold. There are some people within a family structure who struggle with the ability to differentiate, meaning they just got to go along and get along. They're gonna roll with the wave. What everybody else is doing, they locked in, right? They ain't really thinking for themselves. They are part of that group think. They say, well, what everybody else do, yeah, that's easy, right? I'm gonna do that. Then you have those individuals who come into the world like, all right, yeah, I see y'all doing this, but I just want to go try something else. I'm gonna figure something else out. What y'all saying don't really make sense. No, I'm not contributing to this event because I think it's dumb, or you gonna speak up, right?
That's what they consider the black sheep.
And so there we go. But see, I posted something a few years back, and I think it's dope. So sometimes the black sheep is really the goat.
Right.
There we go. Say that again. Say that again.
And so the thought process of that, when you talk about differentiation of self, that person who has the strength to step outside of what is in front of you from day one and try to do something different, that speaks to something that's inside, right? We talked about it with the kids and things like where you have, my belief that is you get one part from one parent, one part from the other, and that other third is something that just God gave you, right? Whoever you are. But the reality that sometimes our lived experiences, I was the first person in my family to go away to school. You know what I mean? And so what I experienced, I got on my first flight in college on my way to a football game. So my experiences when I left my family unit, I was a different person when I came back. You know what I mean? And so those types of things, create sometimes challenges. Everybody expects you to be a certain way. You're different now.
It does. And to piggyback on that, you going away probably gave you the ability to see different things or how things was worked to where when you came back, I might have been able to be, again, more manipulated, easier, the old me versus now the new me that see that, hey, I've experienced this while I was out here on my own trying to figure things out. I've experienced this on my own trying to figure things out to where now, because sometimes when you go out there and you be on your own, it gives you the opportunity to realize what was fucked up when you didn't realize it was fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Or the train of thought or any of that.
The courage.
Clarity. Yeah.
The courage. Because honestly, most of the times you probably was that person when you left, which is why you wanted to get the fuck away and do something different. Because you had to be different to want to go do something different in the first motherfucking place.
Okay.
So I was already 10 steps ahead of you.
Journey.
But what happens is motherfuckers that see the greatness in you before you see it in yourself. And motherfuckers try to stop you in your fucking tracks before you get on the path of realizing who the fuck you are. If I can stop him right the fuck here, all that great shit I see in him is going to be fucking in, and it ain't going to challenge my bullshit. And my weakness, and my complacency.
Period.
And my dumb shit. Yeah. And my bullshit. And all that other dumb ass shit that you trying to fucking camouflage as greatness. Because you already fucking know.
That goes back
and
to
that's
that
when
manipulation.
you had to cut that person off. Because in turn, if every time that you show that greatness, it's like a mirror reflecting. So it's like, as soon as I see that, now I'm seeing this. So in turn, that person, no matter what your relationship is, they can't treat you normally or well because you are triggered to them just being in their presence.
What the fuck? Exactly. You can drop the mic right the fuck there. Bro. Because at the end of the day, nobody fucking great or have ever accomplished anything great have ever just followed suit.
Yeah.
They have not.
Nothing innovated come from
following suit.
You thinking like your fucking neighbor ain't gonna get you nowhere. I gotta think outside the box. And I believe thinking outside the box and all of that, I believe that is learned and that is, some of it I believe is innate. Because I believe your greatness is your greatness. But I believe that's family structure too. Some families cultivate that forward, free thinking so you can just go out here and live your best life. And some families stifle that shit because I'm not great. I'm never going to be fucking great. And I don't want nobody else to be great because then it's going to make me look dumb.
Well, it's going to be impossible for it to happen because in order for a society to cultivate someone's being diverse, meaning that it would have to be non-judgmental. We can't judge something that we don't know what it is. So I think this society got an inability to let go of their judgment in order to let things flourish the way they do. If you think about it, you go back to like older days, like used to stone people for being different. Like, something anything different, they fear it, so they got to kill it or control it. And that's basically what it boils down to.
And so, I'm glad you said that. Because, again, I think I might got one more thing to say. So when you say if something is different and we don't understand it, we gotta kill it, right? like Joan of Arc, all that kind of stuff. Right?
E.T. Name it.
Right.
Like, even for the kids.
That was an ugly motherfucker, though.
But they kept him wrapped up. As soon as they knew it was alien, they was after his ass.
They had to get him, right?
Shit.
So-
The mannequin, name it.
Right.
So, let me just say this, right? And I joke sometimes and say I was a late bloomer, right? In some way, in some areas, in terms of my development, right? What the guys say, the sports guys and all that, football and all that. I didn't realize I was him. Like, I ain't talking about sports. I'm talking about life. Until
me, of course.
absolutely. Like, really, no doubt. Really, I mean, I'm a confident guy. I had my things and experiences in life where I, grew up and all of that. But my wife said something to me, and I was like, wow. Again, my oldest daughter was born after my first semester at college. Again, I knew I was going to be a father on my way to school. And then I was married, had 2 kids. When she said to me...
While you still was in college?
No. I said I got married and had 2 kids after.
Oh.
Yeah, when I got home. No. I was in school for a long time.
Right.
No. When Ebony said to me... my baby said...
If you don't just say it, you try to be political. Say the shit.
No, I'm going to say exactly what you said. I'm going to quote you.
Air quotes.
Yeah. You should have never dealt with them bitches anyway, because they wasn't on your level.
Period.
And so that statement, right? So coming from a kid who was one of the, I guess, neighborhood celebrity type kids, right? I was a ball player. I was, I was one of the kids. I had a big cookout before I went to school. I had the whole neighborhood. I was kind of the guy.
That's why every time we go somewhere, everybody
He knows some motherfucking way.
every single way. But go ahead.
And so,
We be in Jamaica. This nigga knows somebody. Like, what the fuck?
and so that was one thing, but when she said that, it kind of put me in a place where I was like, wow, the one person that I know, if I go in the dark alley, she gonna rock with me at this point, right? The only one at the point in time when she first said that. She said it a couple times, and hearing that from her, the one person that I wanted to be everything for, the one person that I'm willing and have been willing to lose everything for, gain everything for, say something like that, I was on cloud 9 because I was like, yo, she really think I'm that guy. You know what I mean? And so that did something for me, did something for my ego. It made me feel great. We can talk about the fragile male ego, on another day. But that was a huge boost for me. And no doubt, like,
I hope she believed it.
We've been through a lot. You know what I'm saying? In terms of family, in terms of trying to be who we want to be to each other, to our children, and even to our family, right? And when I say our family, I mean the dysfunction. I mean the connectedness that we get in terms of connecting with her family, connecting with my family. Some of it was successful, some of it was epic fails, and so us being in a place where we continue to push forward, right? Continue to push forward. There's right now there's some some hopeful. Trying to patch up some things in some areas, and at the end of the day, some stuff looks good, some stuff, not so much. But at the end of the day, one thing's for sure, we rock solid. And so part of the challenge is when you think about family, all of that she mentioned, love and care, some of those family dynamics we talk about being enmeshed. There's a word that kind of locks into that. Possessiveness. Some people mistake or misquote or, love and possessiveness are not one and the same. Because when you possess somebody, you have an issue when they can now channel their love and commitment to their spouse, right? Because you feel that you have a certain position in their life that you have to be the end all be all. And sometimes even if you have your own spouse, that's selfish. But
Well, especially if you have your own spouse, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, if you got that much time you put in your energy into somebody else's shit, you probably don't really have your own spouse.
Not true. Not true.
No, I'm saying you might physically have your spouse there, but you might not have your own spouse. That's what I'm saying. You need to be watering your own shit. That's all I'm saying. It's like, and it's always space to grow and water in your own shit.
I can't really say you should be watering it because see, here's the thing. When I say classism, and people hate when I say this, this is why I believe I should have been in the Victorian age, other than being black and being with the white people, but we'll leave that for another conversation. But because there's just certain dynamics and certain principles and mindsets that belong together. Some things do not exist in the same space.
It don't. It is
what we think is a viable relationship or what we want to commit to is not what somebody else may look in and think that is what they consider viable. But that's your fucking problem. You can't place your bullshit in my relationship. What you accept and what you allow is your business. So now don't look at me because I'm out the grain and I have just leveled up in this relationship thing and we have just made your shit look stupid, because usually that's what the fuck happens. And now you mad. No, you're fucking perfectly fine. Just you're only mad is because we now think that your shit is beneath us. And
I mean, once you get exposed, you get exposed.
And in real shit, I think it's okay to have an idea for your marriage, your life, and say that I don't want my shit to look like that.
See, my shit was simple. I was having problems from motherfuckers that don't have no fucking marriages. So it's like, I can't take your advice. Like, what could I don't have nothing to go on about anything that you're telling me because you haven't even displayed that to me to even judge my shit. You get what I'm saying? You only have, it's like you talking about my car and you never even had a license. You never drove. Like, it's like, no, it's not your fact.
Well, I feel like with you, and to kind of double back on what Dwayne was saying, I don't think you ever realized your greatness. When I first met you, I knew there were certain things about you that was just like, oh, well, he got this, he got that. There was a situation where he was walked in on me talking about him, but I didn't even know he was in the vicinity to hear me. And I'm just like boosting him. I'm like, yeah, he this, he that, he that. Never knew that until, like, of course, later that he even heard me bigging him up. Like, to me, he just kind of never had that. You know what I mean? And with all the qualities that he had, the good qualities, because everybody got their shit with them. You know what I mean? But the good quality, like, to me, it was never it was never nourished. It was never like, guess what? You the shit when it comes to this, that. And my thing is, for my man, I wanted him to know that, guess what, baby? You can do whatever. Whatever you put your mindset into, it always flourishes. And he knows that.
As long as you agree with it.
Wait, but sis, guess what that is,
what I'm saying.
Guess what that is?
What is this, sis?
Fucking classism. It's fucking classism. Because again, he didn't know that shit because he ain't had nobody pouring into him. But in a different class of people, his family would have been pouring that greatness into him. So when he had reached you, he would have already known that. So as you continue that, that would have been an expectation, not an introduction. It's fucking classism. Come the fuck on. We just need to be with the people that we supposed to fucking be with. We need to find our people and be with our people. Like, at the end of the day, we all don't see things the same, and we don't have to, but it's some core fucking values that make us all tick. And if we ain't ticking from the core together, we don't need to fucking be around each other. Because you ain't going where I'm going, and I don't want you in my space.
That goes back to what I was saying about people going back, holding on to that root shit. We's a family, and we's gonna stay a family. Like
we's gonna stay a family as we was ripped the fuck apart.
No matter what happened and how toxic it is.
But what we don't understand is that staying as a family is accepting new people. It's accepting what motherfuckers got to offer and really connecting.
And so
most of the time, motherfuckers ain't really trying to take nobody from your ass.
That made me remember something I was about to say. So it all comes down to back to that differentiation of self, right? I believe that when you don't have the ability to differentiate from the family unit and don't have your own individual identity, it's more difficult for you to allow somebody else in, because now that's taken. So it's like this: the family is a puzzle, right? And I'm a part of the puzzle. If we're, instead of being a puzzle, if we're just a blob, if somebody else comes in, they're taking my space. But if we're differentiated like a puzzle, there may be a piece that person can fit if I'm differentiated and I'm able to open up to that.
And you know what's funny? In my mind, can't nobody take my space. I'm who I am. I bring what I bring to the table. Piece. You can,
and so you
can add on.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
But
you will never be me.
And so you recognize that in that puzzle, puzzles are all unique shapes, right? You gotta find those pieces.
You only go into the piece you designed for.
You fit where you fit.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so if another person comes in, there's a space for them. If there's differentiation.
People got to learn to be authentic in order to fit in their proper place, though. See, people
have to be
look at other,
in their space.
Right, but see, people look at other spaces that they not even fit in, and they want to fight over a space that you're not even built for.
Ooh, that goes to something you said before.
The reality of that, real quick,
that's a good one.
Is that, and we might be about to touch what you're saying, is that it's easy to say you don't have space for somebody else. But no, you got space for somebody else. You just, two things. Either the space is already fucking occupied and you never can get to your space. Or two, what you would bring to the space is fucking taboo. So they gonna lock that space down and not gonna let you penetrate that fucking space because they don't want you. They have designed in their fucking mind what they want to see in that space. Figuratively or real. Because I got two bitches in my space that they can have. I no longer want that space, but I'm just saying.
I mean, some people, it boils down to getting in line. If you want to be in this space, you got to fit in line with what I want you to be at. And if you don't fit this particular and get into this
space. So it's not necessarily because I don't have space for anybody else. It's just that I have a type of space that I want filled
I got my
with
shit
a
in
type
order,
of
and you're going to mess
person.
up my order. Right. Based off of
so
your
if you
character.
can come in this space and be what I want you and need you to be, then certainly come and enjoy the space.
Be a minion. That's basically what it is.
There you go.
Group think.
Yeah.
There the fuck you go. I ain't never been that bitch, so you can fucking miss me with all that bullshit.
With the minion.
I ain't never been a minion. I probably used to care a little bit too much. I can say that.
I motherfucking grew. Fuck that.
I ain't never was no minion. That shit ain't happened.
But caring too much don't mean you got group think.
No, I mean, I said cared a little too much to the point like I let things bother me that should never bother me.
That's me.
In retrospect. But I used to let things bother me because of me gaining acceptance from her. So it carried in other ways. It's like, okay, through her or her family, because a woman wants to see her man be accepted and walk in the room and everybody love them and be adored. That's like where the fuck this shit come from?
But so that same shit, right? Because that I believe that is more woman quality. We want our man to be accepted, but we also want to be accepted.
That's true.
So no different than our man infiltrating in our marriage. Family. You also want to now. I mean, it's a big deal. Like it is fucking again classism. You fucking want to have your mother-in-law. Like, you want to have a relation. So I never got to what I considered it to be as marriage. I considered the merging of our families. I always wanted a bigger family. So when him and I got together, this is the funniest shit ever. I've always said I wanted 5 children. You never know how shit gonna happen, right? Because God give you things how he wants to give it. We got 5 kids, not 5 that I gave birth to, but that was our number, our completed number at the time. Now we 6. But, so you know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, that was just the merge, and it just means big. It's not I need to be your mom, because I do believe when you have kids with other people, you are all now one big conglomerate of a fucking family, whether you want to admit that shit or not, because them ideologies that come from mom and dad and all that shit is all merging in everybody's household. So you'll be a fucking fool to think that you're not a family. Yeah. But We just a family with a bomb that blew up in the middle of our shit. That's all I
say
had.
we all family.
We had dynamite.
Until circumstances show otherwise. Everybody y'all family to them circumstances. Then you see who family, who ain't family. You know what I mean? So I let circumstances show everything to me. I'm open to whatever. If the energy there, I'm receptive.
First of all, I ain't letting circumstances feel it no more because I feel like we give people past. You just said the energy. Sometimes you know that shit gonna happen and you wanna be, oh, you in this motherfucking la land, oh, it's gonna be so great, and it ain't gonna be that. I'm just being pessimistic. No, you're fucking being real, your intuition, your gut, your fucking lived experiences. Get the fuck off the train before you wreck your fucking self. But no, our dumbasses go head on with the train coming and gotta create this collision when you knew you should have jumped shit
and you know what,
long time ago.
I had to learn that because my thing is certain things he said to me in the beginning about certain individuals that he was extremely close to. He'd be like, oh no, when this happened, this is what this is gonna be. And I'm like, no, maybe it's not gonna be like that because, you know, family. And then when that shit hit the fan, I'm like,
motherfucker.
This was right. So then it's like, even after the rightness, I'm like, oh, well, because of titles, like, well, maybe we should give this person another chance. Maybe we should give this, like, you know what I mean? And then I had to think, I'm like, they're hurting my man. And to be honest, if anybody gonna hurt my man, it's just gonna be me. Ain't no
facts, big facts.
Nobody else. But I had to sit back and I'm like, no, like at this point, we're going at it together. Because my thing is, I'm not gonna keep putting him in there because he's taking, you know, my voice of reason and be like, oh, well, maybe I should give this another chance.
So he left another chance.
Yeah. Correct. In order, you know, for us to kind of, you know, work together. And it's like, what he's saying, what was going to happen, is happening. You're not going to keep hurting my man, regardless of the title. Because my thing is, mostly, like, I take his feelings, I love hard. So my thing is, certain things, I'm not going to put you in a situation for you to have to be hurt or this or that. I'm not going to accept that from anybody else. Nope. Parents, kids,
you already
siblings,
know she don't play about the kids. Right?
None of that. You know what I mean? But I don't play with them with that either. You know what I mean? It's just like certain things like, no, I'm not going to keep having him be in a hurt stage because of a title. You know what I mean? And a title that I'm encouraging, like, well, maybe it's not this, maybe it's that. To where when we got on the same page, I'm like, fuck everybody. Like, it's just me and you in these four walls.
Right.
Me and you, like, what's up? You know what I mean? We'll build based off of that because nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves it.
Well, because at the end of the day, here's the thing, and this is something that I always say to him. You fucking put people on pedestals. You get people passes. You let people into your world. But don't nobody gotta live with the residual of none of that shit but us. Like when you dump all that shit on us, that shit impacts our life. Mm-hmm. You get to go on and live another fucking day and do the fuck you want to do in your life. Right. While you have dumped all your bullshit on us trying to fuck up our day to day. No. So like you said, fuck everybody, because you're not putting your shit, you're not dumping your shit on us to now have to deal with the fucking all the bullshit you got going.
Which now puts us to the Outlaws.
Right.
I'm glad you said that. I was just about to wrap it up.
Put us to the Outlaws.
So listen,
okay.
You know, relationships can be wonderful, man, and we would be fools to think that, you know, our lived experiences and our family dynamics don't have an impact. We just would hope that, you know, depending on what and based on what my family dynamics have been and my partners are, that, you know, as we merge together, we grow, and our family unit is filled with in-laws and not outlaws. So we want to have
classism.
You better stop watching Bridgerton, girl. But listen, this is the end of this episode. But we want to again jump in the comments, man. Check this out, like it, subscribe to the page, and we look forward. We got a lot more coming, man. We gonna dive in.
That's right. Day night with Coach
podcast.